Hey, welcome back to the Virgo Channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo and just interpret the message as it best resonates with you because energy is fluid. Also, know on this channel, I like to look at everything, but we definitely take a lot of time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes within your experiences. I like to do this because, first of all, I pride myself on being a healer. Second of all, you are the creator of your own life. So I don't never really like to predict the future, especially if you're someone that tends to get in your own way or is dealing with a person that gets in their own way because they have a lot of spiritual blocks. I like to tell you what the spiritual blocks are so that you have an opportunity to understand why your situation is really happening and what you can do to create balance in your situation. Now, that doesn't automatically make your person all of a sudden treat you the way that you want. However, it will allow you to avoid karmic karmic situations that are potentially uh, hurtful to you, right? I mean, a lot of times we get hooked up with the wrong person. And because we get hooked up with the wrong person, we inherit the karma. And it's almost like somebody, and now this is random, and I don't know why I'm getting this, but it's almost like other people go through shit with other people and then they take out their frustration on you. So it's like you're not the one that creates the problem for anyone, but you're always the person that has to pay for the consequence. I don't know who that's for. I don't know why I'm channeling that. We're going to see what that means. And so that might mean that you're connected to a karmic mate that needs to heal and doesn't want to heal, wants to just go back into another relationship. I'm not saying that they don't have a connection, but if a person hasn't healed, they bring all that baggage into the new relationship. So if when a person doesn't heal, instead of them being vulnerable, they can be jealous. And so karmic, when a person like sabotages the connection, they don't just sabotage the connection, they tend to sabotage the other person. And so it's almost like you inherit that person's karma, part of that person's karma. So, like I said, I'm going to see why I am channeling that. I'm feeling like someone's getting out of a relationship and wants to come start a relationship with you. I don't know why. Like I said, we're going to see. Okay, disequilibrium, that's imbalance. And disequilibrium happens when when a person needs healing, right? Again, when a person needs healing, they tend to never be coming from the present moment. They're always coming from a past situation. They get triggered easily. That's why I say they're always coming from a past situation that I would say is traumatic. And so it keeps a person up in their head. When we are confident in ourselves, we are present, we're in the now, we're in the moment. Only in the now do you get divine guidance. And so I feel like you're someone that is confident or is gives the illusion that you are confident. And I feel like for the first time in your life, you actually feel confident. However, you are connected to somebody that is very imbalanced because disequilibrium really is created from too much thoughts, too much emotion, and then in order to deal with that, the person tries to escape a lot of times. It means that they have to do the shadow work. Otherwise, they're going to come from place of their emotion. They're going to come from place of their wound. And that's why I felt what I felt. Because disequilibrium, when a person comes from a disequilibrium, they get triggered easily. Why? Because they're not balanced. They're coming from the past. So when we all go in and out of consciousness, it's a natural thing. But people that have gone through trauma tend to be more out of consciousness. And they go back into a situation that resembles the situation of the original trauma, they just react, and they react without thinking. And it's because when they go out of consciousness and they get triggered, they go into a fight, flight, or freeze uh, frame of mind, which is the survival mind, the reptilian mind, and that's where our wounds are stored. That's also where our survival mechanisms come from. It's again that we formulated in a place of trauma. So if you lived with an abusive parent, it's like you have formed uh, habits and behaviorisms that create the illusion of survival, the illusion of safety for yourself, and that they might have been at that time. However, when we leave that situation, they are no longer beneficial to us. They tend to really prevent us from moving forward. And so when we keep accumulating trauma, right? We're a magnet for that energy. What winds up happening is it's like we really are imbalanced because we're coming from a survival standpoint. Our natural energy is to be the energy of unconditional love. We wouldn't know what that energy was. So, spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, brings us people into our lives to teach us. And so it doesn't mean that the person is perfect. We may perceive that they're perfect because we feel that soul's connection. But I feel like the energy is disequilibrium regardless of whatever soul connection it is. And that means that this person uh, needs a lot of healing, and they probably have addictions to deal with it, and they have other behaviorisms such as they would not be secure in themselves. They would be somebody that was not reliable, someone that was not emotionally intelligent, somebody that wouldn't know how to handle your vulnerability. So, and that would create a lot of imbalance in the relationship. I feel like some people that have a lot of trauma, such as this person, has had trauma for a very long time, and they're able to disguise it. They've formed so many masks because, again, trying to like escape who they are without creating who they are. And that's what really creates the disequilibrium. It means that you're not coming from your true self. The true self is the higher self that's always coming from a place of unconditional love. That's why we get the people in our lives. That's why we're born into certain families. And you might be like, oh, the family that I was born into was horrific. It was horrible. Again, here to teach you what unconditional love is. It doesn't mean that it's perfect and rosy all the time. It's almost like that there's a fine line between love and hate, but we wouldn't hate if we didn't care. It's just sometimes that energy becomes very toxic. The connection becomes very toxic because of the wounds that need to be healed. And that's the underlining energy. And I felt it before I even pulled the card. So I know. I want to know, well, what made it imbalanced? What did this person do? And understand just because the person is imbalanced doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. We always pull to see what this person really feels. Again, their higher self. There is a higher self. That's a real self. And the person knows what they really feel. Their ego may get in the way, but then deep inside, they always know. Everybody knows what they feel about themselves and other people. It's just sometimes person that is wounded is not going to be like emotionally vulnerable. They're going to create a lot of facade because they don't want you to perceive them the way that they perceive themselves, even though you wouldn't. It's again, but again, that survival consciousness is a very low vibe. They don't perceive how anyone else perceives. And it doesn't mean that this person like is a bad person or that they are not educated. They could be very smart and be low vibe, believe it or not. Book smart and spiritually smart are two different things. Spiritually smart, a lot of times you're going to be street smart. You're going to be able to read other people well. You're going to be able to connect to other people well, which I feel like is your energy, but I don't feel like this person's like is that energy at all. Again, so neglect. So this person, like, I feel like didn't give you anything. I mean, obviously, not paying attention to what's important. So again, and I feel like that's a problem with them. They almost like they 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 pull themselves too thin and too many. They pour themselves too thin. Uh, where in it they don't give you enough, and it's a form of avoidance. It's not that this person doesn't have feelings. It's almost like they have anxiety about the relationship because they feel inadequate. It's almost like they'll obsess about the relationship beforehand. They'll change their outfit 10 times beforehand. It takes a tremendous amount of energy for them to like actually muster up. And so it's again too much thinking. Too much thinking creates too much emotion. And when the person has a wound, like that fight, flight, freeze kicks in, then they get in there, they get in their own way. They just freeze. And then they feel like they don't shut up. Like they feel like they can't like they talk too much, tell you too much. And then it's like where it's almost like again it makes them feel inadequate. But it's almost like in that you don't see a lot because this person doesn't show you a lot. They don't express a lot. Like they might show the fact that they don't like shut up sometimes, like when you're around them. However, um, other times, if they're not seeing you and they're just texting you, then you feel like it's a one-liner. Like, and it's like, well, like what the hell? Like, but if you see me, it's like you can't. And that's again why this person's like spent a lot of time in going to other places, believe it or not. It's like, again, to give you the facade that they were a lot more emotionally strong. And also because I feel like, though they have such strong feelings, it's exhausting. It's exhausting because it makes them tap into parts of themselves that they shut off a long time ago. You can't feel like you're inadequate and attract people that are going to make you feel adequate, number one. Number two, if you feel inadequate, it's because situations keep playing out that tell you that you're inadequate, but you're the main reason. So you need to again become aware of what that is. Otherwise, it keeps you in a karmic cycle. And that's why I felt like this person tends to keep going into karmic cycles that are the same, that make them feel inadequate. So though they have feelings for you, they know that there's something wrong. I feel like they might not have known before, but if you would have asked them, they'd say, relationships just don't work out for me. People just don't like me. I'm not like where it's again, that's trauma because no one's born believing that no one likes me. That's a taught belief, and it's a taught belief first, usually in childhood, and then person goes out in life and they sabotage themselves, and they usually sabotage themselves by with with addictions, with again reckless behavior. It's the way that they sabotage themselves. And again, not letting anyone in, where you're like, hey, like it's like I feel so lonely in this relationship. That's what it feels like. Emotionally, I don't get what I need. And meanwhile, this person is like thinks that they give so much. And that's the thing. It's like they're so afraid to give. So a person that's afraid to give looks like a miser a lot of times. And because they're not going to say, I'm afraid to give, but you're going to see that they're going to give very little. And even when it comes to like money, not just emotions, like you'd be like, okay, like this person's like cheap. I feel like they will use their money to get you back. They would treat that, give like do things with their money that are very logical. They're very frugal. They're very like smart. Like they're very business mind, like book smart, like that. Like lives very safe, kind of boring. So again, not trusting. Also, so yeah, this person does have a lot of secrets. And I'm not gonna let you in. And in that, it doesn't make you feel like I'm not really in a relationship with you, because I feel like for you, you're someone that's very highly sensitive and you need that emotional connection. Some people don't really need it. You're someone that's like, no, I need that. You need to like make me feel loved. You need to make me feel supported. You need to, and you might say everyone needs that. I know a lot of people that it's not that they don't want that, but if they can't have it to be with the person that they want to be with, then they'll deal with somebody that's, you know, not won't emotionally show up for them. And it's like, and a lot of times they grew up in an environment that was like that. So they're just like, they want it, but they're settling, where that's not really the case. I feel like you're someone that's like, I want it and I never attract people that can give it. And that's like a karmic theme for you that you've grown up with. So then that becomes a little bit of an imbalance where you feel like I'm depleted, so I really need it. And then spirit's like, well, you shouldn't need that much from that person. There needs to be other things. And so understand, remember, if you're imbalanced and you're gonna go be like needy, emotionally needy with this person that's imbalanced, you're not seeing that. You're not noticing. And so, like I said, I feel like this person did emotionally come on to you in a way that was more like sweet words and the potential of the connection, nothing that was concrete, everything that was, you know, their feelings, which I feel like it's not that it wasn't true, but it was more coming from a place of lust. Because if a person doesn't take the time to get to know you, relationships are something that happen over time. Trust, when a person's in balance, they want everything now. And they, again, emotionally, they need it because they're depleted. So they, again, tend to love bomb. I was going to say gaslight, which it's gaslighting, but it's a love bomb. Um, and if you're depleted, you're gonna like obviously give too much to this person, where this person deserves very little. Guilty, like where it's like you felt like this person just like lies and cheats, And they would after a while because, again, they're imbalanced. And people that are imbalanced, they don't feel well. And when they don't feel well, it's because their bodies are always getting triggered from the fight, flight, or freeze, because every situation calls for our confidence. Now, if they have feelings for you and they don't love themselves and they feel inadequate every time they're around you, they get in their own way. So they really don't like themselves. So, in order to create the balance, which they have to release the serotonin, right, to bring their energy up. And so then that's when the lying and the cheating and it's like that, this addictive behavior comes into play, which if they're doing all that, then obviously, again, they're not giving you time. You're not like creating a relationship. If anything, this person has a whole secret life that you're like, okay, I don't really know who you are, but I obviously know that something's going on because you're not giving me the time. And it's like, and it really doesn't need to be this difficult. It's like, I'm tired of the relationship being this hard. It's like, when really you don't want to take the time to like sort out your own feelings and to figure out exactly what you want. You don't want to do any of that. But the relationship doesn't need to be this hard. Life is hard for you. And because life is hard for you, because you made it hard, because there's consequences for living like that. You can't live by your addictions. Eventually it catches up. It's very indulgent behavior. You're going to mess with the wrong people. And there's consequences for that. People like to retaliate. People like to. So I feel like this person is getting out of a relationship. And again, because they make things too difficult because they're they don't do the healing that they need to do. And people don't realize when the trauma is bad, and the trauma is bad in childhood from sexual abuse, from molestation, from abandonment, from like, there's a lot of, again, reasons why a child experiences terror from a parent. They don't even need to, a lot of times, even go through the experience themselves. They could watch their parent go through a terrifying experience with their lover, with with something that goes on in their life. And the trauma is inherited, never, which I feel like in this case, yes, and yes, meaning they grew up watching a horrible relationship, so they inherited family karma, which is codependent, narcissistic, um, substance abuse, and then on top of it, like, lived in some sort of terror. And mind you, not all the time do you need to be sexually abused for it to come up in a reading as if you were sexually abused. Terror will come up like that, will manifest as intimacy issues, intimacy as in trust. So the person can have sex when they first meet somebody because it's all fantasy. You don't know me, I don't know you. We're in the, it's all about the potential and falling in love, and this is what love feels like. And then what happens is that it doesn't last because the relationship's got to grow. Can't keep the relationship compartmentalized where you're not letting me into half of your life because you feel inadequate. You're trying to hide parts of your life, and then the parts of your life are really like dark because you're trying to like fix your life. And fixing your life is, I just want to feel good. I don't know why I do what I do. It's like, when, again, sexaholics, gambleaholics, alcoholics. It's all a form of escapism. It's all a form of self-hatred. And that is not, no one's born that way. It's you were raised that way. You were conditioned that way. And then you go out into the world and you keep getting in the same types of karmic experiences, which are karmic cycles that are of the same karmic loop, which is, here we go again. This is the same situation. So the person begins to look for it. So they're always being triggered. They're always projecting. And now if you're connected to them, you're going to inherit that craziness where life is hard. It's again the root chakra imbalance. What you're going to see is money problems because can't be you can't draw abundance into your life if you don't like yourself. It's impossible. You might be able to make money, but you'll always lose it. There's because money has no energy except for the energy that we give it. So money is an issue. The relationship's difficult because the person's always getting triggered. They don't know how to have a conversation. They avoid, they escape. And now here you are already somebody that happens to be a little bit more emotionally like needy. So like that anxious attachment style, like you need that love, you need it, you want it, it has to be there. Like where spirit says, well, you don't do enough within your own life to fulfill that area. So the relationship would have no balance. And this person is already imbalanced. They're already imbalanced. So the relationship would go really fast where it would be run by passion. And passion with no character, and character again is those higher, when I'm saying character, everyone has character, but good character is always those higher states of consciousness that are derived from unconditional love. Lust isn't, there's a lower consciousness, which is the feeling. It's almost like animalistic. Again, the reptilian survival mind, which is the primitive mind, almost like caveman, which is, yeah, it's a function, it's a need, it's a want. I was led by passion, but it's again, I got what I wanted, and then so it would actually be extremely karmic, this connection. And distant, like the person's not really there. So like this was the connection. Again, being with someone like this, anyone could imagine that you'd be very lonely and also not very happy. And possibly always trying to get the relationship back to what it first was when you met this person. So a bit narcissistic, mainly because this person's in survival, not because they're like, oh, I consciously want to like fuck up your life. That's not what it is. However, trauma from childhood that's not healed turns into narcissism a lot of times, if because it's the way that that person had to compartmentalize their own life in order to survive. And now you get into a relationship with them and you want them to be able to emotionally give it. It's not going to be possible. They're too busy in a survival mode. And that's why I'm saying you would inherit their trauma. So it doesn't mean that they don't care, because again, the caring has nothing to do with it. But with them, again, the relationship is too intense because again, there is like love and passion and caring, but there's all that. And then when person coming from trauma is again dark moods, just moody, getting triggered, and that's because you're no longer seeing their false front once you get up too close. You're seeing it all. And then again, the narcissistic is that they act coy. They pretend that everything's okay when meanwhile it's, again, they're so unstable. So understand this is why it would affect you. Now I feel like for some of you guys, you already were in this relationship and this is exactly how it went. Well, guess what? If I'm saying it like how I am, I feel like this person is going to try and come back again into your life. And the reason why is because trauma bond relationships, it's not uncommon that they're on, they're off, they're on, they're off, because they're continuously in a power struggle. And the power struggle is, I need to be able to suck off your energy, because my life is, again, in the collapse. I'm coming out of a relationship. I need to build myself back up. I see you as a good source. I'm emotionally needy. I'm not stable, though I'm going to pretend that I am, but I need you. And that's really also another reason why this person gets triggered a lot, and why you would feel like, or why you felt like, this person's so controlling. This person is so controlling. And so I feel like if you were in a relationship like this already, it's like they are, it's not uncommon that come back again, because hey, you were a good source. You gave to them. They couldn't go out and find anyone else to replace that source of energy. And it doesn't mean that, again, that they don't have feelings, but that's their level of consciousness. This person identifies love with stability, and that is, how much are you going to do for me? Remember, this person that like just got out of a really bad karmic cycle, and if they didn't do any healing, they're just going to re-enter into another karmic cycle, unless something is different, unless somebody is different, meaning you would have to be different in order to not. And what spirit is saying is like, that's challenging, because this person is like, needs too much healing. You already know what it is, because you already were in the connection where it was too hard. Now we're going to see mental health. Like I said, that narcissism is like when you live in survival mode for long periods of time, it affects you. If you were brought up from a narcissist, you have brain damage. You may think that you don't. Being around a narcissist creates that. I know, because I literally was raised by a narcissist. So, and it's because everything, you're actually conditioning yourself to live in survival mode, where you're not in the present moment anymore. And so, like you said, I feel like this person is that person that it's really affected their mental health, because they haven't done healing. I did healing, and I did many years of healing to recondition that. That's how I know firsthand. But this person, again, from living the false front, you don't know who you are, you don't have grounding, you're living in survival mode, you're pretending that everything's okay, you're relying on a new person that you don't really know. Everything like is relying on that. So they're going to be super controlling with you, which is, again, what they weren't as bad when you first met them, but now they're really going to be bad, because they came out of whatever they came out of, and maybe they were going through a divorce when you met them, but now they're really done with that divorce, and there's no money, there's rebuilding their life. Like you said, coming out of a karmic cycle that's negative is usually, there's a tower moment, and then whatever is true is what's left standing. And so, again, this person doesn't really have a true self. It's, again, the false front tells us that. So again, having very intense feelings, affects the way that they think, and already the spiritual blocks. So, like you said, that now you're with that person, it's obviously we can see why. I wish I could give you more. So it's almost like this person feels like if they could give you more, that would make up, like, because they really, again, coming out of whatever they came out of, I feel like they have nothing. They're rebuilding. And so, coming into your life now, what spirit is saying is like, this is what you have to watch out for, because they're not balanced. It's going to affect you, but they feel like if they would had more to give, that it would be fine. Where I feel like because they don't have anything, it's actually making them look at themselves a little bit more, which I feel like is actually a good thing, because this person used to hide behind material things, and people would sometimes be tricked into who this person was because they would give. They would shower them with gifts and do things. And I feel like that's the thing. This person, I feel like, is getting out of their situation, but they're extremely imbalanced. It doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. I feel like they do, and I'm afraid to say that I feel like they want to come back into your life. So I'm gonna like, I don't know why I'm feeling that, but we're gonna pull for it and see what this person plans on doing, or what they think, or what they're going through on a deeper level. But the deck is very thick, so it's like any one of those topics. I'm afraid you're going to meet someone else before I'm ready to be with you for good. So this person might come to you even faster because they're, afraid that you're going to move on. Like I said, I knew that they were going to come to you. I just felt it. And the thing is, they haven't done any healing. It's like, I think that they think going through what they went through and losing everything and having to start over is, oh, I learned because I lost stuff. But no, you didn't psychologically understand why that situation happened, and you don't understand why those situations keep happening, like every 5 years, every 10 years, whatever the karmic cycle is, that you keep on getting together with somebody that destroys your life, but they destroy your life in retaliation to what you're doing. So you're meeting them in a broken place. You meet that person, and they give you, they rebuild you, and then you're not true, which makes that person that had rebuilt you destroy you. And now they're coming to you in the same type of karmic cycle. And that's what spirit is saying. It's like they're not ready to come to you because they know that they have to bring something. They would want to create a little bit of the facade. Like, again, I'm more stable than I actually am. But understand there is day of wounding. I long to sweep you off your feet and shower you with my love bomb. Like, again, it's not like being led by passion. This person wants love. They just went through a shitty time with, again, it was the end of their a karmic cycle within a trauma bond relationship. So of course they want love. However, it's like, again, what we see here is like the making of of another uh trauma bond relationship, because it's all that they know. And it doesn't mean that they don't have feelings for you. They do have feelings for you, but It's again, they have all that shit. And the way that they have learned how to deal with their relationships is the problem. It's the way that they communicate when they're in a relationship. It's the way that they start the relationship imbalanced, where one person is over giving of themselves. And while they rebuild themselves to only create havoc in that person's life. Because once they're actually comfortable in the relationship, well, then it's boring. And then they're going to do what they want to do. And that's what the karmic consequence is. It's like there's retaliation. And then you're paying for the retaliation because you're with this person, like, because you're getting the retaliation rather from somebody else, where you're like, I'm just here with you, helping you, minding my own business. Now this person's mad. Well, they're mad because they feel like now that person isn't getting the karma that they should be getting because you're there. So you didn't suffer. I mean, they didn't suffer because of you. Well, and so that person feels a little bit jilted. So no, they're not going to like you. I'm struggling with codependency. I'm afraid to let go of my old coping mechanisms. Hello. It says it right here. This person knows that they would have to change. They know. And they already know it's going to be a problem. Because this person is in 10. You know what I mean? The way that they learned how to survive from childhood has been to like overstimulate themselves, to be indulgent, to have to like search for the outside thing. Their core beliefs have been with them forever. The behaviorisms that have come from that have been the way that they have been forever. You know, it's not like it's a new thing. This is why I'm saying they would need to heal, because once you see that they're not as strong, that their codependency makes them appear strong, because it's again, whether that's people, whether that's things, substances, whatever it is, it's makes them be able to function. Once you take that away, what's underneath? The trauma. Because you haven't created yourself, you're still like carrying around those wounds because they're still affecting you. You know, you have to do something different. You have to create something different to kids. Like that's the way that it happens. But if you stay the same, you create the same. And that's the thing. This person is doing the same thing that they got themselves into. I care about you even when I act like I don't. I'm hiding my true feelings because I feel vulnerable. And that's why you said, like, this person is not very emotionally intelligent. So I feel like they're acting like that now because they don't really have anything to offer you, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, um, I feel like they're still coming back to you. You know what I mean? Like you said, it said it right here. They just don't know where they are in the process. I feel like they're going to rush it though, to be honest with you. So they might not be 100% honest by leaving certain things out. But to them, they think that they imagine it. I close my eyes and I imagine you're here with me. I feel like it's so real. I'm beginning to understand this is what it means to be in 5D with you. So I don't know whether they actually know 5D, but they definitely know that it's a spiritual connection. But no, past life karmic mates are spiritual connections. Trauma bonds are spiritual connections. So they feel the unconditional love. There is a connection. I won't deny that. However, the issue is that this person is getting out of a situation and hasn't done healing. So we're just going to ask to see what is this like, what could we expect if you were to enter into a relationship? Will this person repeat their karmic cycle because of you? Like I'm saying, are you gonna like also like will the dynamic of the trauma bond be able to work with you and this person? Is that what's gonna happen, or are you going to be different and break that karmic cycle by being different? Where now that you're different, it forces this person to be different. That doesn't mean that they stay. That might mean that they walk away. We're gonna look and see that in the cards too. We might not want to do it. Or will they continually try to manipulate you to do it, or will it force them to change? Can it change? Because remember, they're entering into a new cycle and they're at the lowest point, which means their ego isn't big anymore because they don't have anything anymore. So they're going to be open to change. Is it possible that this person has an opportunity to actually like break the karmic cycle? And would that be even something that you would consider? We want to know all those things. What was that? That was no action or movement. Four of Swords. Right now, Four of Swords, Ace of Swords, okay, Nine of Coins. So right now, this person isn't moving. They're not taking any action. They're not taking any action right now. And it's because there's a lot, they don't know how to really approach you right now because they feel like they don't have enough. And this again, and it's because Nine of Coins, again, that you aren't up, but it's again, this person doesn't feel like they are. Again, they felt like they needed to acquire more money. They needed to have something. So right now, you don't need to make a decision, but let's see if when this person comes back, which by the way, they might take too long and completely miss out, which is kind of like what this person actually put out there already to the universe again, that you're going to move on before this person comes back. But let's see. Six of Wands again, like they're in their like their pride, their healing. They're not, it's like the pride before the fall. It's almost like they know that they have to come back, but they're actually like fighting it a little bit. And that's so part of this is I don't have enough, and part of this is procrastination. Three of Swords, again, I feel like then they finally come out of it. Three of Swords, and you can see overcoming sorrow, like finally coming out of it. Again, of believing that they're not enough. To the Chariot, which is again moving forward, but like with their strength and will. Okay, so they are gonna come back around, like I said, and Ace of Cups. Okay, and they do plan on bringing you again some emotion. And then, but it's almost like they come back, and I feel like again, you're gonna have to deal with that, the last person that they were with. I don't even want to call them the karmic because I don't feel like they're a bad person. I feel like they're just someone that got into the relationship, did a lot, believed that in this person, again, believed that the last relationship was a bad relationship and just didn't work out. And meanwhile, now that they're living the same fate that they helped this person get out of in the previous relationship. And so I feel like it's almost like this person comes to you with, again, like it's a narrow escape. So I feel like again with people, and this is where the karma comes into play. And that's why I felt this. It's like I said, what I said before. It was like, this person is going to come back. It's not like they're not. It's just like I said, I feel like they come back with nothing, not enough. They want to come back with stuff. So they're again not coming back yet because they are going to come back with a little something. But the only reason why that they don't come back with more is because they're afraid you're going to move forward. So they're not 100% like stable, I feel like. And then because they're not really 100% ready to leave. And obviously, like, I don't know whether they leave or just get them getting into a new relationship. It's almost like getting into a new relationship really like flips that person out. And the person, like you said, wants revenge on your person. I'm going to call him your person, the person that's connected to you, but knows that no matter what they do is not really going to affect them because the person doesn't care. Your person doesn't care. They're like, I've moved on. I don't care. That's the thing with the karmic cycle. It's like, yeah, they crash and burn their life, so they care about the loss of their life, but they don't care what they did to that person that did everything for them. So now really that person wants retaliation, and the only retaliation that they are going to get is if they do something to you to get back at that person, which is why I believe like this is a bad thing. Um, Yeah, charting the course like that. Yeah, like two of wands. Like that's definitely like I feel like this person would be like, again, how can I get back at this person again? And they would believe me, they would chart the course. They would map it out, and it would come back onto you. And Eight of Swords, again, where this person just stays in a low vibe, but then it's like because they're afraid, but then you now have inherited your like beliefs. It's affected you. It's affected like again what you're doing. So Eight of Swords is not a positive card. You wind up getting triggered. You wind up your own mind, you become imbalanced because you begin to be up in your mind worried about what's going to happen, and this is how you inherit this person's again karma instead of just getting a new perspective of your situation. You would uh and like I said, I feel like what's going to happen in this situation, you you might be with this person if you choose to be with this person, this is the way that it would go, that you would be with this person and then that karmic would come into your life and you would get a like you guys would have to get a new perspective, you would have to get a new perspective and like a whole take a whole new direction. And that's what I feel like. Meaning like that this person comes into your life, you probably won't even like it would be the end before it started. And it would be the end before it started because um you would see things for the way that they are, that it's like you're running from somebody else, now you're running to me, and that's affecting my life. So again, like it's like I feel like this person has a connection, but they also see you almost like as an opportunity to help them. And because of that, like I said, I feel like it causes problems with the karmic. The karmic gets mad because it's like you're not going to get off that easy for doing what you did to me. You're not going to do that. You're not just going to move on and forget about me and live happily ever after with somebody else and have that new unsuspecting stupid person do everything that I did for you. That's why I'm saying it's like you would get a different perspective, and I'm telling you, you would again move forward, and maybe releasing your limiting beliefs would actually be like, I need to hold on to this person, or this person is like the only person that's I want to date, or that could date, because like I said, I just feel like being with this person, like it would affect you. It would affect you. So we have to say, then why was this person brought into your life? What are you supposed to learn? What are you supposed to learn? Play? These are your inner child wounds. Uh, Support, overwhelmed, neglect, abuse. Well, in this story, I feel like you emotionally didn't get what you needed. I feel like you also grew up the same way that this person grew up. To be honest with you, like there was no support. It was very overwhelming. So you learned how to do that. Like you learned how to live, being overwhelmed. And I feel like the way that you did was you played, meaning that you went out, you connected with people. I don't feel like you put your head in the books. I don't feel like that was the way you escaped. I feel like you escaped through your friends and through that, and just losing yourself in creating new ideas, which is actually a gift. And I'm feeling like, again, also when we tend to be abused and be neglected and have that trauma, that emotional trauma, we do tend to um, escape again into our mind. It's a traumatic response that we detach, and we disassociate, almost like we're watching somebody else go through the experience. So I feel like you and this person have that in common, have a lot in common. So you attracted this person because they're a mirror of of you and your wounds. To be honest with you, there's a lot of similarities. I just feel like you've done healing, but they haven't. So we have to say, well, with what healing then did you um not learn? If you've done healing and this person hasn't done healing, why are you still attracting this person? I feel like the answer is still to play within your gifts. That there's still the residue energy of the abuse, of the neglect, of am I really deserving of love? Can I have love? And this, again, the devil always hears you, always going to bring you, the universe is always going to bring you a person to test you. Well, let's see. Let's see. Do you believe it? It's up to you. And what you saw is like, I'm deserving of love because this is like too much. I'm not, getting what I want. It's like, but because I feel like you're using me as an opportunity, it's not really for the reasons that I want it to be. And also, like, it's all those other things, baggage that you have from the unhealed trauma on top of it. So it's not just you leaving a bad situation and I have to rebuild you, but it's actually um, that. So essentially, it would be getting nothing but work from you. And it would be just like what I grew up with, neglect, abuse, because you get triggered and you haven't done any healing. And you would just keep me completely overwhelmed, where I would have no support and I wouldn't even be a good sense of support for myself. So that's what the universe is saying, and it's like, and so don't let be naive, okay? Because this person would just keep you down, and it would all be because you self-sabotaged yourself, which, by the way, is the wound that happens from severe childhood trauma. Again, if you're told you're unworthy, if you're neglected and abused, and you're told that you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not lovable, you begin to walk from that perception. You're going to gravitate towards people that feel that way, that are going to treat you that way. Wait, you're not even going to recognize it in the beginning because you've been programmed to live from that state of consciousness. So what it happens is that the universe says you might have had to do that to survive, but in order to thrive, you have to recondition the way that you think. And the only way that we can really integrate the spiritual lesson is to embody the new lesson. Why? Because once you embody that lesson, there's the feeling. Now, how do you manifest? Through the thoughts that you think and the emotions that you have. So if you're say affirmations, but you truly don't feel what you're saying, you can't manifest it. However, when you go through an experience and you do something different and you see that different reality, you know what it feels like because you've embodied it. So that's the way that you tell the universe that you've learned that lesson. And if it's a really difficult lesson, a lot of times you're going to get that lesson a few times. You don't just get it once. It's just each time that you go through the experience, the emotional trigger is a lot less. The emotional charge of, oh my God, getting overstimulated, it's not that big of a deal. And that's how you get to see yourself differently, where one thing could have been so debilitating, emotionally debilitating, now it is no longer because you have mastered it. And so, where Spirit's saying, this is because of your childhood trauma. You're a mirror of whom what goes into your life. That residue is still on you. And that, so there's still parts of you that perceive that you're not worthy. So, again, let's see. We're going to bring this person to you. This is what they're showing you. What is it making you feel? Transmute the energy by doing something else, which is to not be with this person. And that's really how you're also going to break that ancestral karma, because you wouldn't be attracting a person like this unless you actually witnessed this and grew up in that type of environment. So then we ask the universe, how can we end this reading to raise our vibration to the highest, being that obviously, like, we're not going to be with this person and we might feel a little depleted because it's like, well, I really wanted it to work out. What should we keep our eyes set to? We ask Spirit, and Spirit says, elevation. Look at this situation as a way to help you evolve into the highest states of consciousness. Because once you actually go through the karmic test and you see yourself differently, you've integrated that test. So it's, I free myself from fear and trust the universe. I direct my thoughts to the beauty inside and around me. I use my spiritual strength and knowledge to create light, and I rise above all doubt. So it's again using the spiritual knowledge, and this is really intuitively you knew. A lot of times we always see the writing on the wall, but a lot of people are like, yeah, I see it, but I'm going to go through it anyway. Where that's why they sabotage themselves, because you saw it. Where Spirit's like, no, the experience was just here to help you elevate, to help you get to the next layer. You just have to go through that test. The universe always gives you the test. And if you don't pass the test, well, you don't get you get the lesson by taking the test. It's like you get the test, then you see the lesson after the fact. So karmically, you will avoid the karmic consequences, so you don't need to see the test. this is why you elevate and you are like, don't inherit that karma, which understand that inevitably makes this person have to find somebody else or do the work that they need to do. But nevertheless, it's not your headache. I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. You tell me how you resonate. Love you guys.